Hey, good afternoon, Cruk. This is a demo video for the last two sabers I have for now. The one saber that I cannot do right now is your Malibu Dark Saber. I don't have the specific PCB that needs to go inside of the hilt to match the blade, but you and I have talked about that. Okay, but for this demo, I have your Lucifer Sabers Inquisitor, and then I also have your Atom Sabers Byph V2. Which we'll go over this one first just because it's just how I happen to pick them up. So this is a one button setup. All right, so your one switch is right here. I did machine this down a little bit, not machine it down, I dremeled it because I don't have a machine. But anyway, I dremeled this down a little bit so that I could make it fit on that tactile switch. All right, so that's single button saber, CC sabers in here for your lit PCB. And then how you get to the chassis is you want to open the pommel. It's the only place on this chassis or on this saber that opens. All right, so you just want to unscrew this. Make sure you don't drop it. You'll see your chassis. It will slide right out into your hand. And what you've got here is a removable battery setup. You got your Proffie board here, easy access to your SD card and your micro USB. Although you can get the SD card out here and not move the board, it can be a little tricky. So what I did is I did not adhese the board down in case you want to pop it up and make it easier on yourself. All right, but it is possible to do it from here and not move the board. You've got a 22mm Smuggler's Outpost Nano Elite speaker that's fully enclosed. And then, of course, it's got the SO Switch Pixel PCB set. So anytime I do removable chassis, this is what I use. This piece here and the 14-pin PCB in there. That doesn't come out. All right, so what we want to do is just go ahead and throw a battery in this guy. Everything is running the stock font package. All right, so we'll go ahead and you can throw this in there however you like, just like that, and then screw the pummel on. The pummel does all the work. So we'll screw that on. Go ahead and turn the light off and let me turn my phone off. Sorry about that. We'll hit power. So of course, you're just tapping it for blaster bolt deflex. I gave you twist off. Then we'll go ahead and we'll throw a blade in this real quick. All right. This takes a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade. We'll need to back out your blade retention a little bit, and I'll show you where that's at here in a second. We'll back that out just a hair so that we can throw this blade in. You'll feel it hit the pins. When you do, just lock it down. So very solid. All of these are running the stock font package for now until you get a hold of them, right? Switching sound fonts is a long press on the button.
Smooth gray.
Just like that. You got a nice fire blade. Blade lockup. Blade lockup can be a little tricky on a one button setup because you have to hold down the button and hit the saber at the same time. If you don't time it right, you'll get that. There you go. We'll do one more.
Smooth fuzz.
The blade lockup a little bit easier to see on this blade style. I'll go ahead and twist off. So whoops, I hit the button. Everything's working great on this guy. We'll go ahead and take the blade out, and then we'll go over taking the battery out, which is very easy to do. All right. Again, we'll come over here, unscrew the pummel. Try not to drop it, right? So I try on every demo not to drop it, and I do anyway. But you can come over here from the positive side by the speaker, and you can pull it out with your finger just like that. It's that easy. And then when you're done, of course, we'll just throw it in here for safekeeping. Try not to press on the speaker drum. That chassis, I made it so it's nice and loose. It'll fall right out, and it will go right in, just like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll screw the pummel on this guy, and we'll go over your Lucifer Sabers Inquisitor. Very unique saber. Don't do these very often. I've never done this one before, so it was pretty cool to mess with. But this is what it looks like right here, right? So this saber was designed, it looks like, to have switches on one side, and then you could have like a recharge port on the other side. I don't like static batteries with recharge ports. I try to stay away from those whenever I can. Sometimes it's something that I can't help, but on this one I could. So on this side, I plugged these holes. I made plugs. I plugged this hole, and I also plugged this hole here, and then there's a third one right here that I plugged up. So it's with black PLA. It does match the saber, so it's not an eyesore. You have two domed tactile switches. So you got a tactile switch here, and you've got one right here. You're not going to be able to pick it up on camera, but what I did was I very carefully went in and I just put a small, well, maybe you can see it, a small black dot right here above that dome tactile to let you know that that is the power switch, and then the other one is the auxiliary. Now, you mentioned wanting to paint these when you get them, paint these, so you might want to just, I don't know, mark something else to let you know which is which, because this handle does twist. It twists back and forth, so you kind of want to mark that in some way so you won't lose track of what the power button is. But this saber also does flip all the way out and locks out like that, right? Actually, you could keep folding it and fold it all the way to the other side if you wanted to, but it looks like that. Now, this saber does have some sharp edges when it comes to the emitter, so you just want to watch out for that. I did try to file them down a little bit so it's not as bad anymore, but just be mindful. This is a pretty sharp saber. All right, so we'll fold it back in. Oops, it folds this way actually. So it does only fold in one way. All right, to get to this chassis, what you want to do is never unscrew the emitter next to the switches. All right, this is all one piece. It stays in place. You have a grub screw right here that's holding the piece of the chassis that you'll never see in place. What you want to do is come over here where I plug these holes and unscrew this emitter. Careful not to drop this. We'll pull it out. You'll see your chassis in there, and again, this chassis will fall right out into your hand. And what you've got here is pretty much the same setup as the other saber. It's just laid out a bit differently. So you still have that 22mm Nano Elite speaker here, a removable battery setup with all your wires hidden, your Proffie board here. Now, it is not possible to get to the SD card and the micro USB from here. So I didn't glue this down. You could pop it up if you want to, but I made this so where it was a nice press fit for you. So once you snap that in place, it's not going anywhere. That's just kind of what I had to do for this particular saber design. All right. One side has a set of CC Sabers lit PCBs, and the other side has that same SO Switch Pixel PCB set. So when you look in there, you'll see that 14-pin PCB that doesn't come out. All right. Again, let's throw a battery in this guy. Running the stock font package. So you can, again, put this in however you like, as long as this piece goes in first, right? And we'll take the emitter and we'll screw it right on. Lock it all the way down. All right, so now when you tighten this all the way with your hands, let me find the power button. It's over here. When you tighten that all the way down with your hands, it's locked in the chassis. You've got both sides that light up. This is a little bit quieter than your average saber, so it's something that you'll hear a lot better when you have it in person. But everything's working exactly like it should. Your sound venting, well, let's turn this off, is actually what you and I talked about. As I went through on this third ring, silver ring down, I went all the way around and I drilled some small holes for sound venting. All right. One thing about these emitters, I don't have blades that are going to fit them because these are 0.98 inches in diameter. All right, I've got 1-inch blades. I mean, I've got one that's heavily sanded that's about a 0.98 or a 0.99 inch blade, but my blades just don't fit, right? And I don't want to sand my blades down to test this saber because then they won't work with any other saber. So whatever blades that you have, you're going to have 2 blades probably dedicated to just this saber because they have to be heavily sanded. You've got quite a bit of blade depth, if you can see that. I mean, it's about, you got that much blade depth, you know, on each end. So you got plenty of blade depth. Your blade retentions would be right here. And then, of course, you get another one right here. But unfortunately, I just can't put any blades in here to show you that it lights up. I can show you that it lights up this way. And of course, you got one set of switches. So that one Proffie, one set of switches controls both blades simultaneously. And we'll go through another one. This might be the fire blade. Yeah. So both sides are lighting up well here. Pretty sturdy saber. I mean, pretty hefty rather. Very hefty. This can spin freely. Because of that removable chassis, this thing can spin freely. You don't have to worry about it. So if you didn't like your switches there, you know, you could twist the handle, bring your switches over there, however you want to do. All right. There's a blade lockup. Blade lockup can be kind of tricky on this one as well. Just like that. We'll go ahead and we'll fold this back in. And then go over taking the chassis out, which again, do not unscrew the emitter next to the switches. Unscrew this side over here. Pull this straight out. Oop, wrong light. Sorry about that. Pull this emitter straight out. Slide this into your hands. And then again from the positive side over here by the speaker, you should be able to pop it out with your finger just like that. That is pretty much your Byph 2 and your Lucifer Sabers Inquisitor. Let me know if you got any questions, and if not, I'm going to package all of these up. All right, thanks.